Today we're going to be reviewing the Panasonic Lumix G6 with the 14 to 42mm kit lens. So let's first go ahead and take a look at the camera body. The front face of the camera has a 3.5mm microphone input. This is very useful for people looking to use this camera for video. Below this is the lens release lock button. To the left of that is the micro four thirds lens mount and the micro four thirds sensor. And a little to the left of this is the autofocus assist lamp. The right hand side has a port cover that reveals a wired remote port, a mini HDMI port, and an AV output. On top of the camera, you have the shutter button, a toggle switch to either control zooming on a power zoom lens or exposure compensation, depending on how you set it up. There's also a movie record button, and the mode dial with the on-off switch built in is to the left of this. There's also the intelligent auto button that activates the fully automatic mode. In the center is the standard hot shoe mount, the stereo microphone, and slightly to the left of that, the speaker. There are also two strap mounts located on either side. The left edge has nothing on it. On the rear face, you have the control dial and two programmable buttons. And right beneath that are the playback and display toggle buttons. And right below those is a click wheel with options to control ISO, autofocus modes, drive modes, and white balance. There are also two more programmable buttons here. To the left of all this is the extremely useful tilting LCD screen, and right above that is the electronic viewfinder and its dioptric adjustment dial. There's also an eye sensor that turns on the viewfinder automatically when your eye nears the viewfinder. And to the left of this is the fifth and last programmable button and the flash button to activate the flash. The bottom of the camera has a 1/4-20 tripod thread and a compartment that houses the battery and rather inconveniently placed SD card slot. A rather poor design in our opinion for a semi-professional camera. The 14 to 42mm kit lens is an extremely compact lens. The focus and zoom rings feel very precise and the lens seems very well built, especially for a kit lens. The grip on the camera is exceptional. It's well designed and makes it very comfortable to hold the camera when shooting stills or video. However, the position of the display switch makes it annoyingly easy to accidentally touch it when shooting. The overall build quality is very good and the camera feels solid, but it's also a rather compact camera, and you can see just how compact it is when compared to the Canon T4i. It's also substantially lighter than the T4i and other APS-C sized DSLRs. The LCD touchscreen is also very bright and is usable even in bright daylight. The touchscreen is responsive to touch, but every now and then there's some delay in responding to touch input. The menu system is also very well laid out and most items are easy to access and adjust. However, Panasonic has packed so many features into this camera that it will take users a considerable amount of time to fully understand and appreciate the features. And this camera is loaded with lots of extremely useful features when it comes to video. It will shoot video in full HD at 60 frames per second in both the AVC HD and MP4 format, something no Canon DSLR can currently do. It also lets you record full HD at the cinematic 24 frames per second. There are also a few 720p shooting options if you should ever need it. You get full manual control over audio with the ability to adjust audio levels very precisely. You can also monitor your audio levels on screen when shooting, and this is a really useful feature. The 3.5mm microphone input does allow you to connect an external microphone, but the onboard microphone's quality is surprisingly good. The on-screen level indicator and the histograms are also extremely helpful features. And to add to all this, the G6 packs a feature which even the Panasonic GH3 lacks: focus peaking. The focus peaking works surprisingly well and does make manual focus much more accurate. And since the G6 has an electronic viewfinder, it's easier to shoot video and use features like focus peaking even when out in the bright sunlight. When it came to video quality, the footage was pretty sharp and continuous autofocus worked reasonably well, though it does have a tendency to get confused and lose focus at times. There is a bit of moire and aliasing, but the moire is definitely less than what you'd get from a Canon Rebel DSLR. And rather surprisingly, the camera performed very well even in low light conditions, and you can really see how well it performed when compared to the Canon T4i capturing the same exact footage. Both cameras were set up identically, and you can see that the footage from the G6 had finer grains and was much sharper. The biggest disappointment though was when it came to color reproduction. The colors often appeared somewhat different from the actual subject being filmed, and the colors were not very accurate even with the white balance set manually. It struggled with simple things like skin tones and solid colors, and often oftentimes either oversaturated the image or misrepresented the color tone and temperature. And just to show you what we mean by this, we shot the same exact footage with both the Panasonic G6 and the Canon T4i, and we were disappointed to find that the G6 produced unnatural color tones. And we saw this again when it came to stills. In fact, we even tested it against the iPhone 5S and discovered, rather sadly, that even the iPhone did a much better job at color reproduction. The pictures are sharp and the camera locks focus very quickly, but the poor color reproduction does have a tendency to ruin the authenticity of the picture being taken. The camera struggles quite a bit when taking pictures in lower light or at night. The APS-C sized DSLRs still have an edge over the G6 when it comes to low light photography. The camera can capture images in both JPEG and RAW. Another rather annoying thing about the Panasonic G6 is the lack of live view exposure simulation in manual picture mode. So it's almost impossible to tell what the impact of adjusting the shutter speed, aperture and ISO is until you've gone ahead and taken the shot. And what makes this problem even more infuriating is that the live view exposure simulation works extremely well in video mode and then totally disappears in manual stills mode. In fact, even the histogram doesn't respond to changes in aperture, shutter speed and ISO when shooting stills in the manual mode. And this is a rather awful oversight by Panasonic. The camera is equipped with Wi-Fi and connects very easily to a smartphone or tablet through Panasonic's Lumix Link app. The app though is full of glitches and hangs pretty often. And when it does work, it has very limited controls for taking pictures and absolutely no controls for video. And this is rather sad considering this camera is better suited for video than for stills. So should you buy the Panasonic G6? That all depends on what you plan to shoot. If you're mainly looking for a still shooter, we'd recommend going with an APS-C sized DSLR or mirrorless camera. Cameras like the T3i, T5i and Nikon D5300 will produce much better results. However, if it's video you mainly plan to shoot, the camera will work reasonably well provided you're willing to spend some time color correcting the footage. Nevertheless, if color correction isn't something you'd like to spend time on, you might want to consider other options like the Canon T5i, the Nikon D5300 or the more expensive Canon 70D. Hope this review has been helpful. If it has, please like this video and subscribe for more reviews. Thanks for watching.